you trade a funded account using a free EA? That's what I wanted to find out after seeing how well a free EA was performing on one of my live accounts. So I decided to test it in a funded environment, and the results were surprising. In this video, I'll show you what I found and whether this is something that actually makes sense moving forward. I'd also appreciate it if you could take a moment and check that you're subscribed to the channel. It's completely free and it helps us keep opening new live accounts, testing new robots, and sharing real results with you. It also means that you'll see new videos as soon as they're released, so you can stay ahead. Thanks, let's get started. So let's start by taking a look at the live results, and you can do that by going to the Algo Trading Space website and clicking on results and going to live trading or any of the others that you want to see. But in this case, we're going to be looking at live trading, and what we're going to do is we're going to do a search for the robot that I'm talking about, and that is the Dark Dione. And you can see that we've got it here trading on a live account, and if we go to the track record, what you'll see is that we've got a very smooth balanced line. There were a few small dips. There was a little balance dip there and some very small equity dips here, but other than that, it's been performing really well and very steadily, and you can see that it's been trading since December, and like I said, doing very well. Let's go on to the platform next and just take a quick look at it in the live account before we move over to the funded account. And again here, what you can see is that very similar to what we saw, we've got a lot of trades, and what you can see is that it's not a very active EA, but the vast majority of the trades are profitable. In fact, the last 20 or so have all been profitable, so this is looking pretty good. And like I said, in this account, this is $1,000 account, and if we go to the account history, what you can see is that we've done almost 10%. So this is pretty much exactly on target for what we're looking for, 2 to 3% a month, and it is performing as we expected. And as I mentioned earlier in the video, based on these results, I wanted to see if this would work well on a funded account where there are some stricter restrictions. So let's take a look at that. So in order to do that, what I did was I ran several backtests and I changed the settings very slightly. In fact, the only thing I changed really was the entry lots, and I'll show that to you very quickly. So you'll see that it is the Dark Dione. It's trading on the Swiss yen. All right, I did a backtest for 5 years. So from March of 2021 to March of this year, 2026. If we look at the inputs, what you can see is that the only thing I really changed is the lot size. So in the live account, we're trading with 0.02 lots as our entry, but because this is a 10k account and we are a little bit restricted on the drawdown, which I'll discuss a little bit later in the video, I increased it to a point where I was still getting the returns that I was hoping to, but keeping the drawdown within an acceptable limit. Now, based on this, we can have a look at the backtest. So it did take some time to run. So I ran it just before I recorded the video, and what you'll see is that we've got a very, very good looking balance line going up. There were a few of these drawdowns, but that is to be expected. But when we actually look at the backtest results, and keep in mind that this is over 5 years, what we can see is that our max drawdown was 8.27%, and in dollar terms relative, so the max drawdown was 942. Now I'll explain why that is important in a second, but this is exactly the kind of result that I was hoping to get, and you'll see that our total net profit was just over $3,000, so about 32% over the 5 years. Now it's also important to note that I expect this profit to be even higher, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to implement the scaling system. It's a system that I recorded a video about recently, and if you missed it, I will link to it down below in the description. I would encourage you to watch that video because it's very interesting. It'll show you how you can reach your target much quicker, and within 2 years you can have a 380% return on investment. So as mentioned, I'll leave a link to that down below in the description for you, but let's take a quick look at some of the other stats. So again, this is on a 5-year backtest. What we can see is that we've got a 99% win rate. So as you saw earlier, it's not the most active of EAs, but that's not a problem. I would rather have fewer trades that are profitable than have loads of trades where you're having to deal with losses. So you'll see that a fantastic win rate of very close to 100%, and you'll see that actually it's only trading long. So we have disabled the short trades on the set file, and what we can also see, which is pretty incredible, is that out of the 86 trades that were won, 85 of them were consecutive wins. Now importantly, these are not the default settings, and we've spent many hours running backtests and optimizing the EA to suit our requirements. This set file is however available to our VIP club members, and if you'd like to join and get access to all of our set files, priority support from our team of traders, access to our private Discord server, and much more for only 49 euros a month, I'll leave a link to it in the description. Now another thing that I want to show you is that this backtest I actually ran on DarwinX, and the reason for that is that DarwinX have got very complete and very good historical data. You can see that the history quality here is 99% over the 5 years, but I also wanted to run the backtest backtest on a trading.com platform. Now, it is always very important to run a backtest on the broker or the platform that you plan on trading with, because it gives you a better idea as to how the trading conditions with that broker or that platform would affect your results. However, not all brokers or platforms have got loads of historical data like we saw on Darwin X0. And while here I did try and run a 5-year backtest, you'll see from 2021, if we look at the results, you'll see that this actually only started in 2023. So here we've got a 3-year backtest. However, if we look at the results, firstly, our history quality is still 100% for that 3-year period. But what you can see is that if we look at the results, we've got 76 winning trades. Now, again, as I mentioned, remember that it is a shorter period, but our win rate is very much the same. So 98.6%, so pretty close to 99%. And we can see that here, our equity drawdown was 7.59% with a max of $875. So it still falls perfectly within our thresholds that we have set. And this definitely seems like an EA that would do very well on trading.com. Now, let me explain why that is. So if we go to trading.com, for those of you that are not familiar with it, I'm sure if you've seen our videos, you know about it, but if you're not familiar with it, trading.com is essentially a funding program. So how it works is that you would pay $1,000 for an account. In this case, the 10K account. There are different options. But if we're looking at a 10K account, as we are in this particular example and the account that we are going to start, what you can see is that you pay $1,000. You then get $9,000 as incubator funds. So by paying $1,000, you get $10,000 to trade with. Now, the beauty with trading.com, and where it really shines above prop firms, for example, is that you can trade any strategy you want. So something like the Dark Dione, the EA that we're going to be using in this account, wouldn't be allowed on most of the prop firms. Firstly, it's a third-party EA, and secondly, it does use a grid. Even though the way we have set it up, it is not at all aggressive, as you saw from the results, it is still considered a grid system, and the chances that you would get your account terminated with a prop firm are very high. But with trading.com, you can trade any strategy, any EA you want. The only limitation is that you have to stay within the 10% static drawdown. So you'll see again, let's just quickly run through this. You pay $1,000, you get $9,000 in incubator funds, you started, which means you have $10,000 to trade with. You have a max static drawdown of $1,000, so that's 10%. But what this static drawdown means, unlike prop firms where their drawdown follows you, so it's a dynamic drawdown, so you have 6%, so it's always 6% of your account, no matter how big your account gets. Whereas with trading.com, the beauty of it is that the static drawdown means that you always have to keep your account above $9,000. So as your account grows and goes to $12,000, $13,000, $14,000, $15,000, that cushion you have as a drawdown doesn't stay at $1,000. You just have to keep your account above $9,000, and if you do that, you're safe. That's really the only rule that you have to stick with. You can trade the same EAs as other people. You can really trade anything that you want. And again, another of the big advantages is that once you get to the 20% target, you will get 80% of the profit split. So you'll get $1,600 off. So as soon as you reach this, you've actually already made $600 in pure profit. If you take away the $1,000 that you paid for the account, you've got $600 left in pure profit. Not only that, then you would move on to stage 2. Stage 2, you basically have double the amount to trade with. So you got $20,000. And again, you have a 10% static drawdown limit. So you just have to keep your account above $18,000. Okay, and then the same thing applies. You're going to get to your 20% target. You're going to get 80% of the profits. And then at that point, it's basically pure profit because you're not paying for stage 2. Stage 2 is free once you pass stage 1. And then the same thing happens on stage 3, 4, and 5. The only difference is here because you're trading much bigger amounts. As you can see on stage 5, you've got the $200,000 account. There you're getting 50% of the profit. So the profit split does decrease 10% after stage 2. So stage 3, 4, and 5 are 10% lower than the preceding one. However, because you're trading such a big amount, the profits are still massive. Now, lastly, before we wrap up the video, let's take a quick look at the EA in question, which is the Dark Dione. And it is from the Dark EAs. It's the same developer that made the Dark Venus, the Dark Nova, the Dark Cronus, and the other Dark EAs that we're trading quite successfully in many of our accounts. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, you can see those results on the website. They're completely open and transparent. You can see the performance. You can see the trades that have opened and closed. Everything is there for you. But in this case, we're going to be looking at the Dark Dione, and that is in the free EAs. And of course, I will leave a link for you in the description so you can go through this whenever you want, and you'll see that the various free EAs are here. And it's very easy. You just click on the link and then you just navigate to the Dark Dione, click on order now, now, and there it is. And you can also add the dark indicator if you want to for $49, but we absolutely don't need to do that. So we'll just close that and you'll see that at checkout, the price is $0. Now, once you've added this to your Dark EAs, your profile, if you navigate to your account, what you'll see is that you'll have your various services here, and the Dark Dione will be one of them, obviously depending on how many you have. We're trading all of them, but if you go to the EA, you'll see that you actually get 10 licenses for free. And why this is so cool is because if you want to try it on a live account and a funded account and a demo account and whatever else you want, you can do that without needing to go to the MQL store, download it, set it up, etc. All you need to do is once you've opened your account, put your account number in here, and that's it, and then you can trade it on that platform. So this is looking really promising. We've got a free EA performing well on a live account and now showing strong potential for funded trading, which opens up some very interesting and profitable opportunities going forward. If you're testing the Dark Dione or anything similar, let me know in the comments. I'd be interested to hear about your results as well. You can keep an eye on the progress in this account by clicking on the link in the description. I'll also leave links to the Dark Dione and the other free Dark EAs and trading.com. If you'd like to see the results from another of the Dark EAs, check out this video here. As always, thanks for watching, trade safe, and I'll see you soon.